Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Seema, your host for today's webinar. It gives me immense pleasure welcoming you all to the live webinar on the theme of strategic role of IT infrastructure in business growth. This webinar is hosted by Cyber Media Research in association with HP Inclusive. For the duration of presentation, all participants' line will be in listen-only mode. After the presentation, we will be having a question and answer session. Your feedback is very important to us. Please submit your feedback at the end of the webinar. Now I would like to hand over the floor to Mr. Prabhu Ram, Head Industry Intelligence Group, Cyber Media Research, who will share his insight on Be Unstoppable. Over to you, Mr. Prabhu.
Thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks so much for taking time out and joining us today. Really appreciate it. My name is Prabhu. I work with Cyber Media Research. I head the Industry Intelligence Group, and essentially, I will take you through what's Be Unstoppable all about. So let me just set the context first, why we are doing this webinar. This is part of a much bigger initiative, called Be Unstoppable, which I'll talk more about in a moment. First, let's really look at what's happening on the market side. So, one of the things which we are seeing is higher tech spending as such. IT tech spending is increasing, by 6.7% to, USD 89 billion this year. Nothing is possible without using IT in today's world. And the good news is that tech spending in India continues to grow across the board, whether it be on the consumer side of things or the enterprise side. And we are seeing a lot of growth beyond the metros. The world's top 10 fastest growing cities are in India, and business growth will happen beyond the metros. That's a given. The world's, there are other forecasts, which we are mentioning beyond this, like the one by Oxford Economics talks about the world's top fastest growing cities being from India. But there are other forecasts also which predict a very high consumer spending happening in the smaller cities as such. The infrastructure and industry development is also happening at a rapid pace in the small cities, which will bring a lot of new opportunities to the small business owners as such. And again, it's a given that SMEs are India's growth engine. The small and medium enterprises, they contribute to the high growth of the country. There are around 49 industry clusters which are considered to be the growth hotspots of India, and they form 77% of the incremental GDP growth of India as such. But of course, there are challenges. While there are big opportunities, significant opportunities for businesses to tap, there are challenges as such, and the challenges are more for the small and medium enterprises as such. Large enterprises, for instance, have the resources, knowledge, and skills to be able to tap these opportunities, but small business owners unfortunately do not have access to the right skill sets, access to finance, or access to advice by the right people. And this is the context where there is this need for a growth engine which provides the right knowledge, right skills, right mentorship, so that they can be unstoppable. So here is where the Be Unstoppable platform comes in. It's an enablement initiative powered by HP Inc., which has everything you need to enhance your skills, grow your business, or get answers to your queries. There's an online platform that you can join, which contains all the knowledge and skill development content. This will keep you posted on the latest content to cater to your needs. And we'll continue to have webinars like this one on various topics of interest to you. Already 6 webinars have been done on various topics. We'll continue to doing them. We are also doing road shows under the banner of Be Unstoppable. So far we have done them in cities like Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Kochi, Coimbatore, Ahmedabad, And going forward, we are going to do it in Kanpur, this weekend, and there is many more planned in the months to come. So far, these events have had some truly visionary business leaders who shared their experiences and expertise on how to enable business growth. We will also have mentors and advisors on various topics to answer any queries you may have related to business and strategy, finance, HR, IT, or any other business function. This platform is therefore meant to be a one-stop shop. It's meant to be a one-stop shop for business owners, functional heads, and the IT community. I mentioned some of these webinars which we have done, and these are some of the past speakers which we have had. And it's not just about regular articles, but much more beyond that. There are videos, there are white papers, case studies, tutorials, online courses, polls, and most importantly, mentorship as such, which is basically enablement beyond text-based articles as such. This is a complete one-stop shop as such. So what I would say is, I would like to again thank you for joining us today on this webinar. You can see the website link there, unstoppablebiz.com. Do register on this platform to be part of this community and be unstoppable. And that's it from my side. It's now time for today's webinar session, for which I'll hand it over to the webinar admin. Over to you, Seema.
Thank you, Mr. Ram, for setting up the platform for today's webinar. Now it's my pleasure to introduce you to the next speaker, Mr. Santosh Kumar, Category Manager, BPC HP Inclusive, and he will share his insight on the strategic role of IT infrastructure in business growth. Over to you, Mr. Kumar.
Thanks, Seema. See, the main agenda, what I'm going to take you guys through for this particular webinar is to start with how the infrastructure, the IT infrastructure is getting changed across ages. What I can see, the way the market is behaving, the way the IT infrastructure is getting changed in the market not only based on the actual requirement of at this point of time, but again based on the employee's requirement as well. And how you can, I can say no single size fits all. Okay, so different IT infrastructure, different IT devices at the end user part is getting changed, is getting framed, is getting designed based on different personas of the organization. So I will take you through different personas who are there in the market, who are there in each and every organization, which you can easily relate to. Okay. And then third agenda, what I'm going to cover is workforce insights to innovation. Okay, what exactly the workforce at this point of time is looking at, and there are a lot of data what is being analyzed by different review organizations like HBR and ENY, PwC. Lot of research has gone into this, and what exactly the millennials, because this is a millennial era. Next 20-25 years of the market is going to be a millennial era. Okay, and India is one of the youngest country at this point of time in terms of the resources what is available in the market, and it's always better to design our IT infrastructure in such a way you attract the best crowds who are there in the market. Okay, and then finally is going to be the agility part. Okay, this is a very simple but a straightforward slide, which you can relate to many of us who have been in the industry for almost more than some 10, 15 years, 20 years time. Okay, first while we used to have a serial or a serial sort of statement, right? Wherein which people used to sit in a single row or a single or a bunch of rows where people used to work together, and we never had a privacy, or we never had a chance to even think of privacy at that point of time. Then came your cabin structure, right? Wherein people used to have a semi cabin or a full cabin, and That has been some sort of IT infrastructure which we have seen around, say, around 5 years back, 4 to 5 years back. Okay, but now what exactly is happening in the startups? What exactly is happening in most of the enterprise organizations? Okay, it's more of a informal. It's more of a collaboration which is happening in the market. It's more of an experience which is happening in the market. It's like, it's not only a pure device-based discussion what happens. It's more of a collaboration. It's more of a informal meeting and more of a huddle-based meeting which happens in the market, which is really taking the ITDM, or they're taking the workforce more productive. Okay, so from an industrial age, which has been 40, 50 years old, and to around, say, 10 years old of information age, now what the age or the current cycle of employees where we are engaging in the market is more on an experience part. Okay, it's more on connection, it's more on collaboration, it's more on creation. Okay, so based on this, there have been a lot of organizations which have been working towards office of the future. Okay, I mean, like, even if you happen to see this schematic diagram, you can see from a traditional office, which has been a serial placement of employees, it has gone to a more agile-based platform. More agile-based platform is really increasing the productivity of a lot of employees in the market, and this is getting substantiated with a lot of data with us. And there are only 3 or 4 major parameters which is really playing a role over here. What it is? One, agile workforce. People are really not worried about where they station themselves, because most of us, I mean, I think most of us will accept the fact that more agile, more mobile you are, your productivity really goes up. I mean, the era of you sitting doing a desk job from 9 to 6 is almost done. Okay, I have seen, personally seeing a lot of employees within my firm coming at somewhere around 10ish, 11ish type to, and moving around 3 to 4 and then again logging in. Okay, there has been a trend, and obviously, yes, the productivity has gone up from that of a earlier time frame. Okay, and then second, whenever you're going to have a infra in place, the erstwhile, you having a big conference room or a big for collaboration is no more there. Now it's more of a huddle room structure, which will be used by maybe 3 to 4 guys or 5 to 6 guys to have an informal chat over a cup of coffee, right? So there has been a trend over here. There has been a trend for many of the startups, and doing all these things. What exactly we are doing it? One, we are going towards more of an engagement model. The engagement model is the reason, the moment you have an informal meeting with your team or with your peers, it really increases your productivity. It really opens up in terms of your discussion points. It is no more a formal discussion which happens. Okay. Second, obviously, yes, cost. Cost to a great extent gets saved. It's based on how you are going to design your office, how you are going to get your IT infrastructure in place based on the employees' requirement. It's no more a facility management requirement, but it's more on a employees' requirement. Third, productivity. Obviously, yes, the productivity really goes up when you are going to have the employee decide on the infra part. Finally, when you are going to do all these things, when you are going to have an engagement model, when you are going to have a better cost in place, when you are going to work towards higher productivity, are you guys going to compromise on your security part? I really don't think so. You will be in a position to compromise on your security, right? Because all said and done, the major worry point for most of the IT PMs is on the security, right? So by doing all these things, by being mobile, by being built towards getting your infra up towards for agile workforce, are you going to compromise on your security? No, you are not going to compromise on your security. You are going to get your complete infra up and running based on your security as a basic platform. So irrespective of your workforce, even if you are going to log in from a coffee day or maybe from an airport, still they are going to have a secure background, secure backbone as your IT infra part, as part of your IT infra. Okay, so keeping this in mind, the way the market is moving, the way the market looks up to your firm is based on is more or less like the needle is moving towards the IT infrastructure. So that's the reason we have picked up this particular topic for discussion today, and hopefully it should be a great session, and expect everyone to be participating in this session as we move forward. So in the start of the discussion, I mentioned about different personas to work with, right? So what exactly, before getting into the persona part, how the entire workforce, how the office of the future is going to help the entire team. Okay, one, it is going to empower the workforce, because as we move towards a millennial workforce who are who are a cream layers of the market at this point of time, what are they really looking for? They are not really looking for a 9 to 6 desk job. They are looking more on a design-based device, a better stylish, better freakish device. At the same time, they want to have a great work-life balance. They don't want to get into a 2 punch, 1 lunch mode. Okay. Third, they are looking at a faster time of productivity, which means the devices what they are going to work upon have to be state of the art, have to be the latest device. At the same time, they should be in a position to work from wherever they want to work. And if at all they're going to work from the IT or in the office, it should be more flexible. Okay. Similarly, when I'm going to talk about agile workspace, it should be flexible. It should be more immersive. It should be open. The culture should be more open. Similarly, the meeting spaces. Meeting spaces, people are more keen to have better meeting spaces in terms of an informal meeting. They are no more keen to have a formal meeting or having a meeting in a boardroom part. They want to have a huddle room sort of meeting, a meeting over a cup of coffee. And fourth is a smarter offices. When I'm saying smarter offices, it's about your workforce independence. It has to be a wellness integration. I mean, you should have a good cafeteria or a fitness club or maybe a yoga center. So all these are getting a. Earlier, all these options used to be your luxury items, right? I mean, maybe you having a gym in your office, or you having a yoga place in an office. All these used to be your luxury items. But now this has become a default. I mean, default feature what people are looking at, what the younger crowd is looking at, right? The last thing is seamless work outside. This is one important stuff which the young workforce is looking for. What are they looking for? I mean, apart from even if they're going to come to office, they want to be themselves. They want to really enjoy the work. At the same time, when they are going to be mobile, when they are going to be outside office, they want to have a seamless connectivity with the office network and to have a better secure devices what they are going to go for. So these are the 5 major points which of late a millennial crowd is looking for. Okay. Now, keeping this in mind, when we are going to get into a certain statistics, which will be from a HBR part. See, 77.8% of employees say it is very important to have the ability to work from anywhere. Okay, I mean the way the crowd is behaving of late in the market. I mean the way the IT crowd is behaving in the market. They really doesn't think they really need to be physically present in the office. And second, traffic in major cities. I mean, on a lighter side, I can say the amount of vehicles which are there in the market is not really helping us to ensure that employees come to office on time or be in office on time from 9 to 6 time frame. Okay, so 77 to 80% of employees feel they can work from anywhere. Okay, they need that option to work from anywhere. Similarly, 62% of users feel they can work from more than one location. I mean, any organization having multi-offices network multi-offices in a single location or multi-offices in a different locations within a country or outside country, they are more than keen to work that way. Third is 36% of enterprises are seeing an increase in open workspaces. So a serial treatment or a fixed seat for any particular user, all this concept is really moving up in the market. It's more on a open workspace. It's more on an agile workspace, which is a trend in the market. And I'm sure, and I'm sure most of us will have this option in mind as we move forward. Okay. Fourth, 65% of knowledge workers collaborate multiple times a day. Okay. So many of us who are who are there in the business for such a long time will have at least around 2 to 3 con calls in a day, if not more than that. I mean, so it's more of a collaboration. It's not like we just come to office and just do clearance of a mail and go, right? I mean, more of a con call. It's more of a collaboration not only within the organization but also outside the organization. Okay. Fourth and last but not least, 43% are implementing or expanding and reducing the office space in next 12 months. When I'm saying reducing the office space, what does it really mean? That people have started encouraging many users to start working from home, okay, or start working from a different, maybe something like a co-work space, right? Co-works, or there are a lot of higher spaces, which are higher business spaces that are, coming up in the market, which are popping up in the market, and most of the startups have their head office based on that, right? Or maybe based on have a base, in those centers. So keeping all those things in mind, what exactly the millennials are looking for, the 5 statistics what I shared across to you give a complete and a clear picture of millennials' expectation in the market. Okay. Similarly, 95% agree engagement with the employees on the IT infrastructure will help them increase the productivity. When I'm saying infrastructure, it's one is on the workspace, second is on the devices what they're going to use. Okay. So similarly, 86% say technology has a greater impact on employee engagement today than it did 3 years ago. But this particular data is pretty clear. The reason is, if you happen to see earlier, the decision makers of any firm of IT infrastructure used to be your facility management team or a procurement team, or a worst case your IT team, right? But now I can share some data in upcoming slides, wherein which we find ITDMs are getting engaged with human resources team to get the assets for the employees. So end of the day, the human resource team think this is what is required for the employees to increase the productivity. It is no more a one device fits all or a one size fits all scenario. Okay. Similarly, more than 200% of the people think that amenities of an office will really help them in attracting and retaining talent. So this is true. I mean, how many of us at this point of time really think we should go get into a government office and work, right? I mean, that is a fact. Of late, people, millennial crowd are more worried about the other resources which are available in the office than apart from what exactly they are looking for. Because they are a fresh crowd out of colleges, out of maybe 1 or 2 years of experience what they have. The millennials who come to our office will have a clear-cut mindset in their clear-cut expectation in their mind in terms of what to expect from this particular firm, and their expectation is pretty clear. I want a agile workspace. I don't want a fixed workspace. At the same time, I would like to have all other facilities what I used to get in the colleges in the office itself. Okay, in terms of cafeteria, in terms of state-of-the-art gym, or what they expect, what they can expect, That's how the millennial crowd is looking at this particular space. So keeping this in mind, so this is one clear chart, which is which views clearly what exactly is happening in the market. Earlier we used to have somewhere around to 10% of the crowd used to have IT and facility team, deciding on the devices what is required at the end user part, deciding on the workspace requirement at the end user part. But now imagine, in next 3 years, it is going to be IT and HR who is going to decide on the requirement at the employee level. Okay, it's no more IT and facilities alone. It is going to be an IT and HR requirement. Right. So HR has to decide what exactly resources they need to offer to the employees as they move forward. So only my submission is like, it has to be more collaborative with the end user now. It has to be more collaborative with the millennial crowd who is going to be part of our team, to ensure like, we need to act as per their requirement. It can be a BYOD, or it can be like, a device as a service which is upcoming in the market. And all those things will really help you to retain the cream of the crowd which is going to be there in your system. Similarly, as we move forward, percentage of users who will be given a choice of their IT infra. From 3 years ago, it used to be 10%, and as we speak now, in next 3 years, this is going to touch almost around 45%. Okay, so net, if you ask me, the millennial crowd or the crowd who are going to join your firm will have to be given a choice about the device what they want to really opt for. Because end of it, the crowd who are going to join you, the cream layer of the crowd, what you are going to, the best crowd who is going to join you, would have done enough R&D on the devices what they're going to work upon. And the moment like they get the device what they really like to work on, it gives a better feeler for them in terms of better comfort for them when they opt for this. Okay, so this is one important slide which is like, which clearly says about different personas in the market. Okay, so different personas of any customer can be a different work group in any organization. Okay, there will be 4 different work group in any organization. One, it's going to be executives and mobile pros. So second is going to be knowledge worker. Third is your domain specialist. Fourth is your task worker. Okay. Within your executives and mobile professionals, the major, again, it can be divided into mobile trailblazers. So mobile guys are like, who are mostly in terms of your, they are no more stationed in any one particular infrastructure, not stationed in one particular office. Okay. So the knowledge worker, it's divided into 2 types, or different 2 different group of people are there in every organization. One is your office navigator, second is your cloud user. Okay. Domain specialist, one is going to be your master of all, that is your power user. Second is going to be your creative pro, your creative professionals of any organization. Task worker, mostly a frontline hero, who are nothing but your sales team. Okay, so if you see any office, this is how the sales force is, the workforce is divided into 4 types, and I don't think like any organization at this point of time will have any other 5th group or 5th group of employee apart from these 4 people. So in this, from a workplace point of view, how the workplace is getting divided. It can be divided into either a dedicated workforce, which is like, the older style, where in which you have a fixed place and like, you got a fixed cabin to work on or something of that sort. Next comes your shared workforce or shared workplace, which is your conference room or a touchdown cubes or a collaboration room or a huddle room part. Then comes your mobile workplace, which is nothing but your maybe work from a coffee center, or like work in a launch, airport launch, or wherever it is. Okay. So similarly, when I'm going to talk about the work style. Okay. Similarly, in work styles, you have got different work styles of people. Okay. Different work styles over here. It's about your your hotel lobby, your call center, your manufacturing, your healthcare. So all these things comes under different work styles for you. So there's one thing what we need to do is, for a mobile trailblazer, either he can be working out of either office or sharing his workspace with different workers, collaborating with the different workers in a remote location, from a remote location, or from a base out of office. Similarly, doing his presentation on customer side. So for him, the set of devices what we are going to use, what we are going to hand over to them, will be different. Okay. So all these different work groups, or a different set of customers, or different set of officers, or different set of employees in a team, will have a different requirement. Net, if you ask me, because all these guys will be working in a different location altogether. I mean, like, either they'll be based on a dedicated workspace or a shared workspace or a mobile workspace. These guys will be having a different IT infra requirement altogether. So net, if at all you are going to have in mind, like, and irrespective of the user, we are going to have a similar devices at the end user level to work upon. That's not going to be a best method if you ask me going forward. But only thing is, all these users, all these employees will be working based on three simple standard of the devices, or three simple basic principle of a device, which is your reliability, security, and manageability. Okay. So keeping this in mind, what exactly these users are looking for? Okay. Say, for example, a mobile trailblazer. For him, performance is immaterial. For him, collaboration is immaterial. But for him, security and privacy is the most important part. Design and mobility is important. Because this guy is always on travel. This guy is always on roads or always on freight type. So he is more keen on security, on design and mobility than when compared to performance collaboration. Okay. At the same time, office navigator, the guy who is always in office, I mean, like, he spends around 60 to 80% of his time in office. He is more worried about getting a device which has got a better collaboration and security when compared to a design, mobility, and performance. He is more worried about, the devices which will help him to, collaborate easily with a user, with the different users of a different organization or within the organization part. Okay. A cloud guy is more and more keen only on his mobility part, collaboration part, and security. He is not really worried about design because he is not going to have too much work on the product part. He is not worried too much on the specs part, but is more worried on the mobility of the device, collaboration of the device, and third is on the security of the device. Right. Then fourth comes a creative pro. A creative professional is more keen only on the design part. Okay. And when compared to mobility or on the security, he is more keen on design, he is more keen on performance, he is more keen on collaboration. Okay. Power user, irrespective of the design, irrespective of mobility, collaboration, or security, the only thing what these users will be looking for is performance. A power user is a guy who is really your back-end part, your back-end resourceful, hungry guy in your team, who is say, for example, a data crunching guy, okay, or your financial analyst guy. He is one guy who is really, really worried about the performance of the system, which means he has to get state-of-the-art system when compared to anything else that's available in the market. Frontline hero, your typical salesperson who is there in the market. Okay, so a typical salesperson is worried only on its security and privacy. Okay, he is not really too much bothered about design, mobility, performance, collaboration. Okay, collaboration to some extent, yes, because he has to be on roads. At the same time, he has to keep discussing with his peers or higher ups in terms of a data sharing or whatever it is. So collaboration is important, but for him, the major point of discussion is going to be security. Okay, so security and privacy is one major point for any frontline hero whenever he's going to go for a particular device. So keeping in his mind, mobile trailblazer, office navigator, cloud native, creative pro, power user, and frontline hero. All the workforce of any organization who is currently in the market, all these workforce will be part of any of these work groups at any point of time. And each of these users will have a different expectation from a IT infrastructure. So this is a typical, I can say, typical work scenario in Indian market. Okay. So an executive, for example, I don't want to get in depth of this particular slide, but at the same time, I just want you to, take you to a high level what exactly people do. I mean, I'm sure most of us will agree to this point, whatever data points I'm sharing it across to you. For an executive, for example, if he's going to have a dedicated workspace, sorry, how he spends a day, 48% of his time is being spent on his emailing. Okay. Second thing, what he does is problem solving and strategy. Okay. So these two things come secondary for them when compared to emailing, because the moment you get into when he goes to a cabin part, his only thing is like, I'm more keen on doing my emailing services. But at the same time, when he gets into a collaboration mode, his emailing takes a back seat. His problem solving takes a front seat. The reason is he is going to have more collaborative discussion with his peers, with the end users, with his customers. So the moment your collaboration takes a major chunk of your time, of your workspace, what you really do is you can see the productivity going up. So the productivity for sure goes up when you're going to have a collaborative workspace in place. At the same time, if it's going to be a shared workspace, still over here in shared workspace, if at all, say for example, I'm going to work from a conference room. If I'm going to be myself, I'm going to still spend more time on emailing than compared to strategy and problem solving. At the same time, if it's going to be a collaborative situation, my problem solving scenario goes up. Whereas at an executive level, to be frank, most of us, who are there in that particular, cadre of experience in any organization, I am sure, you guys have to spend more time on problem solving than compared to, getting into a mail culture, right? So it's pretty clear, the data what I'm sharing across to you. The moment you get into a collaborative structure in place in any organization, your problem solving skill goes up, your strategy meeting goes up, your strategy vision goes up. I mean, when you are going to, you start having a long-term vision when you're going to be there in the office. Okay. Similarly, a mobile professional. His major, when he's going to be himself, again, his major time is being spent on emailing when he's going to be in a dedicated workspace. But at the same time, if he's going to start getting into say, for example, collaborative solution or a collaborative place on a mobility path, the emailing percentage comes down, whereas his meeting with clients goes up. So similarly, what you need to have is a domain specialist. Similarly, a domain specialist, his emailing comes down from 52% to 26% when he's going to be on mobile part. Okay. So agile workspace, mobile workspace, work from home, all these things for sure increases the productivity of all the users or of all the employees. And this is not a trend what I'm seeing only now, but I've been seeing this trend for more than 2-3 years now. I'm sure this trend is going to continue as we move forward. So this is the gist of this particular slide, and I'm sure we all will agree to this particular point. Okay. Similarly, now when it comes to a collaboration part, how does the collaboration happen? Okay. See, most of us will have been, have this sort of cabins in our IT part or in our office. But only thing is we are not sure what exactly we need to do from that. Okay. Say for example, focus room. Most of the offices at this point of time will have a focus room where it's the meeting happens between 1 to 2 people, and this particular focus room is majorly used by somewhere around 97% of the workers, only to have some private spaces. I mean, in terms of having emailing done, or in terms of having a one-on-one chat with either his peer or a supervisor or his reportee part. Open huddle room. Again, 75 to 100 square feet of space, and is used for 2 to 4 people. This is normally used for informal open huddle and a closed huddle room. Both these things are used for informal meeting over a cup of coffee, but at the same time it will be a strategic discussion. Medium meeting room, it may be a little bigger room, wherein it's you have at least around 6 to 12 people in place, and it's a little bit of a formal meeting room part. Large meeting rooms is as good as your boardroom. Okay, wherein it's like, but at the same time, building such large meeting rooms at this point of time in any organization is like, people doesn't really like, prefer going for a large meeting rooms, right? People are more keen to go for either a open huddle room or a medium meeting room. So that really helps them to, whatever we have found in the market is, we are really finding them this to really increase or improve their performance when compared to your closed meeting room space part. Okay, so keeping this in mind, this is what we are seeing the trend in the market. Okay, so this is one final slide what I'm going to take you through in terms of workspace agility. What is Agile Workspace? As I told you earlier, this is no more a serious treatment which is happening in the market. People are more keen to work from wherever, either within the office or outside the office, and this is how the digital transformation is happening in the market. But only thing what we need to have is, we need to have a clear-cut security policy in place, because that is going to be a backbone. What you need to have. How does it work? Versatility in terms of like, your core of agility is to create flexible work environment, which means like, the employee should feel happy to be part of any team, should feel happy to work in a particular office, should feel happy to work in any particular team or any office by itself. Okay, how does he feel happy? I mean, in terms of providing him a clear-cut infrastructure which will really help him to enjoy his work. Okay, any employee who is going to enjoy his work will have a better productivity when compared to people who doesn't enjoy their work. So the team should be in such a way like, the IT infrastructure should be in such a way, the team should be in such a way like, people start enjoying their work. When will people start enjoying their work? The moment their expectation is met in terms of right starting from the devices till your IT infra. Okay, is it important to employees? Obviously, yes. Happy employees, you get a better result out of this. So it is not no more a question that it has to be like, people have to start providing this. Employers have to start providing this to the employees. How to become agile? Digital transformation should be part of your business goals as we move forward. If not today, tomorrow, if at all you need to be part of a race, what you're going to run, you should be part of the digital transformation. Workforce segmentation will help to understand user needs for sure. The workforce segmentation, what I told about knowledge worker, the different personas. The different personas for sure is a mantra at this point of time. Okay, if not today you are going to follow it up, tomorrow this is going to be the mantra, and each and every workforce who is going to be part of your team will fall under any of this category, and these category users will have a different set of mindset towards the devices, towards the infrastructure, what they're going to have for. Okay, so it's better to be ready for future than when you're going to, start reactive mode, right? I mean, let's get the proactive mode of designing our business, designing our workforce, designing our IT infrastructure. Okay, and technology obviously should be a architecture of your company, and that any customer experience directly relates to your employee experience. So I mean, like, most of the customers, most of the startups, most of the enterprise organizations, most of us have started building a COE as part of our complete IT part. What is COE? Your Center of Excellence, right? So all these things, when you're going to build a Center of Excellence, it is like, it is not only to showcase it to your own customer, but also like, the employees who are there part of the particular firm should feel like, it is part of their organization, right? So this for sure will really help you to scale up the business, will surely help you to retain the best of the talent what you have in the market, and will surely help us grow as we move forward. This is one good data point which we got from Gartner. Okay, so less than 6 months, if at all you are going to have Agile Workspace as Agile Workspace for more than 5 years. Okay, people start feeling like people start feeling that organization is part of their family, and they give us score of almost around 6 out of 7, even in the span of 5 years. Okay, in a simple scale, like if I'm going to work in an agile firm for 5 years, okay, then I am more than happy to give a ranking of 6 out of 7. In a scale of 7, I'll be in a position to give you 6, just because I got a workspace in place, better IT infrastructure in place. Similarly, as we move forward, it starts from 6%. Listen, if the workspace is only agile for last 6 months, for example, then as an employee, I may give you a ranking of somewhere around 4 out of 7. Okay. At the same time, if the workspace is agile for last 1 year, then I may give you a score of say around 5. Okay. If the same thing is going to be for more than 1 year, then I may give you a score of around 5.5 or 6. 6 out of 7. Okay. So this is higher the agility of workspace, better the employee attraction towards the workspace, better the employee comfort towards the workspace, better the employer retention of the employee workforce is going to be higher. Okay, so every one of us who are there in the business are more keen to retain the cream of the workforce in your team, and this agility, this particular business model is going to be need of the hour. So that's it. I'm done with my presentation at this point of time, and I'm open for queries to whatever is coming up in your mind at this point of time.
Thank you, Mr. Kumar, for sharing those thoughtful insights. Now, dear delegates, it's time to take your queries. Please post your queries over the chat, select all panelists, and send it to us.
Thank you, Santosh, for that wonderful presentation. That was quite in-depth, While we open up this to the audience, I just thought I'll kickstart with a couple of questions at my end, So the first being, how do we see which technology is right for us? The way technology is moving, there are various models which are emerging. There's upfront purchase, there is BYOD, and there's the services model. So if you could just talk more of that, how would you advise someone like that, on which would be the right path to go as such, if you could comment on that.
Good question, Mr. So what I'm seeing in the market currently is, the era of upfront purchase of the devices in the market is slowly coming down. Okay, so people are more to go for a device as a service. So device as a service, the reason for people to go towards DaaS model is, one, they really are not going to have a capex upfront investment. Second, at any point of time, based on the contract, they can change the end user device or the IT infrastructure based on that particular requirement. Okay. Mm-hmm. Third is whenever the user is goes for this, the end user always have an ability or an option to decide on what exact configuration or what exact model he has to go for. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this will really help them to ensure one, I'm not going to invest anything upfront. Second, you have a clear-cut contractual obligation in place, because your DaaS is not only a rental sort of stuff, but it is more of a SLA-based requirement, SLA-based contract which is getting signed up in the market, which means the user, the firm with whom you are going to sign this contract, you clearly have a service level SLA in place, which in terms of uptime, in terms of resolution, in terms of response to the calls. And third, we have a clear-cut time frame of using this device. The way, say for example, the platform vendors like Intel and AMD behaving in the market in terms of changing the generation, once in 2 years, once in 1.5 years time. You really can't have a device which is going to be used for 4, 5 years or 6 years time, right? Now people have started using device for 2 years, 3 years, and then they would like to go for a change in devices.
Right.
And for this, And for them, the best path is to go for a DAS model, where it's like, you're not going to invest. Second, like, you have an option to change your device at any point of time.
Understood.
Yeah.
And the other thing with, related to that, you mentioned this, platform changes and all. There's too much happening as such, So how can one actually protect the investment made on the infrastructure?
See, there are two things. Okay, once you have decided, okay, fine, I would like to go for a upfront investment on the devices part. My only submission for them is, currently whenever I can say, whenever either Intel or an AMD launch a next generation of a CPU. Say for example, currently what Intel has launched the 9th generation, and we are going to launch the 10th generation for that matter. There is no change in terms of the commercial of the CPU part. Okay, in terms of the processor part. That's a general basic rule what they have in their launches. Okay. Second thing, as far as the investment is concerned, investment protection is concerned, it's always better to go for the latest technology available in the market. Okay, instead of we going, looking at N-1, N-2 part, because we are all in, all these devices, to be frank, in Indian market, a typical notebook user uses a notebook for at least around 3 to 4 years, and a desktop user uses a device for around 5 to 6 years. There is a data to substantiate that. Okay, and we are going to have such a higher usability time frame from the user, from the firms. It's always better to go for a latest generation. Okay, if at all you are going for an upfront purchase, if at all you are going for a services or for a device as a service model, I still feel you can still compromise in terms of the generation part. You may go for a say N-1 generation, and if at all you are going to get a better commercials over there, and then start changing your devices with a clear-cut contractual period of say 1 year or 2 years more. So that will ensure because many of the Indian users have a mindset this is the latest generation. I'm not sure whether it's going to it is going to be bug free or or you have a data about the next generation which is going to launch in the next 6 months. Okay. So for example, now we are in October. In maybe around February, March, I'm going to get a next generation from Intel. So you will postpone your decision making, or you will think should I go for a 9th generation now itself, and then I don't mind going for a I don't think I should wait till the 10th generation is launched, right? So when all these doubts, all these clarity, doubts keep cropping up in anyone's mind. For them, the best option is to go for a device as a service. And once that is done, then you always have an option. Okay, fine, I use this device for 1 year, 2 year type, and then go for a changing device with the latest configuration available at that point of time.
Got you. So, there's this question which has come in. How is the general start to put agile process in infra services, and what are the milestones achieved in the process? Yeah.
Okay, I got this question. How is the general start to put agile process in the milestone achievable? See, one, as far as I earlier mentioned about the infrastructure which we have currently in most of the organizations, okay, are more of a serial-based placement, right? But at the same time, many of the startups which are coming up in the market, many of the enterprise newer infra which is happening in the market, it's what I'm seeing is 30% is fixed base and 70% is sort of variable space which are available in the market. That shows the agile process has already started in the infra part. Okay, and how are you going to reach the milestone? If at some point of time, if you feel in your entire IT infra, if there are, say, 30%, 30-70 ratio are able to maintain, I feel to a great extent you have reached your milestones. Okay, that's on the IT infra part. I mean, it's on the physical brick and mortar part. Second is in terms of your workforce management on the agility part. The moment you start getting into either BYOD or you start getting into a DAS model where it's you give the users, you give the end user an option to choose the model of product what they want to use. Okay, this particular option I'm not only seeing in the corporate world, but also I'm seeing this in the colleges part also. in a engineering college or a MBA college, I have seen the college management asking the college students to select which laptop they want to use. Okay.
Yeah.
So that sort of agility is getting incorporated in the college itself. So I mean, like, and obviously those guys when they're going to come out of the college and get into the corporate world, that will be their expectation, right? So agility as a field is getting sown in the colleges, and it's just getting grown once they get into corporate. So one is on the corporate on the infrastructure part, second is on the devices part. So both these things has to go hand in hand, and and I'm sure as we move forward, this will be a mantra for any successful organization.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is there any other question? Like, we still have couple of minutes left for this webinar.
So not right now.
I'm able to see one question on top of it. Any specific tools recommended for collaboration?
Yes. Do you want to take that one?
Yeah, I would like to answer that. Okay,
Yeah.
From a collaboration point of view, what we are seeing currently in the market trend is, yes, obviously everyone are more familiar with Skype, right? But the way Microsoft has started pushing Teams in the market, or I feel like Teams will take up Skype in some days, and there will be 2 or 3 collaboration solutions which will be there in the market. One is in terms of your Teams, second will be Zoom, and third I feel like is going to be Skype. Okay, so these are 3 collaboration solutions what I feel is going to be there in the market as we move forward in next couple of years. Okay, so there's one more query which has come: how to calculate ROI. I just want to check, when you say about ROI is from in terms of what? In terms of upfront purchase, or in terms of employee satisfaction? I mean, I'm not sure what exactly this query means.
Yeah. So maybe you could take one scenario and just explain.
Yeah,
that.
Maybe from a ROI part, if you ask me, the same user, I can say the same user when he's going to get given a fixed workspace with a non-agile work environment. Okay, work environment, and if you are going to work on such a scenario, and if you are going to see his productivity for first 6 months, and the same user is going to get a device of his own taste or of his own requirement, and it is going to have a agile space to work. What you are seeing in the market is almost around 30 to 40% increment in his performance. Okay, so this is this clearly will be seen in the performance output when compared to anything else.
Yeah.
And if at all, second scenario is if you are going to calculate ROI between a DaaS, a device as a service model, and an upfront purchase model, that is a capex and opex model, that query can be answered in a different way. Your capex model is when you are going to do upfront investment, so that it's up to the users or up to the firms to take a call on the particular upfront investment part. But at this point of time, if you ask me, a device as service will hold a better stand when compared to a capex, because of the fact that you are just not going to get a device, but you are going to get a SLA-based device from a particular firm. SLA-based device from a firm will ensure that you have a better ROI in terms of your productivity. Because if I'm going to do just a hardware purchase, I mean, it's it's very simple. It's best effort basis. So instead of a best effort basis, if you're going to get into a contractual obligation or a contractual agreement with a particular firm, you are going to get a device-based response and resolution-based contract, and that will for sure will have a better ROI when compared to a upfront purchase.
Got it. Great. Thanks so much, Santosh. You have been really great with your presentation as well as with the answers. I really appreciate it. Uh,
Thank you.
and thanks so much to all of you who have joined us today for this webinar. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to hearing from you again. Yeah, and till the next time we meet, thanks so much, and have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. Thank you, Mr. Santosh. On behalf of HP Inclusive and CMR, I would like to thank all the participants for joining this webinar. We hope it has been a useful time spent with us. Thank you so much.